Hey everyone, it's Kemmer and we are in week 3. Can you believe it? I'm looking quite aerodynamic and smooth. The beard is gone, and that is for a very specific reason, which I will tell you later on in the video. For this episode, I'm not going to talk you through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday like I've done in previous videos. Instead, I'm going to show you everything that makes up my week, my strength training program, and of course my running program. This should give you a full idea of everything that I do and can help you if you decide you want to follow along. So let's go. So where do we start in this video? Remember, this is a marathon training program where I'm still incorporating strength training. So I've got to pull my phone out for this, and you're going to be seeing up on the screen, I made my own training programs and I made them to coincide with the running. So I'm going to start focusing firstly with strength training, because I think there'll be a lot of people kind of going, yeah, I know how to run, I know how to follow a running program. What are you doing for strength training? I've broken my training into simply upper and lower days, and I have 2 routines in both. So I've got upper 1, upper 2, lower 1, lower 2, and that's what I'm going to take you through. Let's start with upper type 1 and what this routine looks like. It's actually quite straightforward. I start the day with pull-ups, get me going, gets my heart rate up. Also for the simple fact that I don't want to try and do my pull-ups later on when I'm fatigued and can hardly pull my own body weight. So pull-ups go first. Now talking about body weight, I then move straight away to chest dips. Again, I want to get this out of the way before my arms feel fatigued, because it is a body weight exercise. Sometimes I might add some weight when I'm doing chest dips, but it is pretty much predominantly body weight. Then we move across to the overhead press with the barbell. This is a fantastic exercise. At this point, my heart rate is spiking all over the place. Great for the shoulders, the upper back, and it also works your bis and tris, although those are secondary considerations. Now, there are 2 types of bent over rows. In this particular exercise, this is the one with the barbell. You have to get the form right. Again, it's great for your back. So as you can see, I've worked predominantly back, but a bit of chest at the moment with everything I've done. My shoulders are also getting a good workout. So you're understanding what direction that upper day 1 goes. Then I move to my cable crossovers, which are really aimed at the front of the chest. It also works the biceps as well. I do this, my stance is slightly different. It's almost an aggressive lean forward stance, which does at times isolate the back muscles. I do that because it feels good, not because there's any science behind it. And then I go to bicep curls. It's a standard curl that we all do. I do them individually, 1 arm at a time. I've seen people do hammer curls where they do them at the same time, or even lift at the same time, but I do 1 at a time. I love them. This is the one exercise, as anyone will tell you, that you can stand in front of a mirror and do all day, and that's why it's at the far end of the exercise towards the end of my plan. Then I go to the reverse curl. So this is for my forearms. The reverse curl with a barbell, fantastic for the forearms. I do this sometimes I leave it out. It's an underutilized exercise, and I think a lot of people don't focus on this area, but I do. I find it very, very important to do this. And then we get to the dumbbell row. I do mine slightly different from most illustrations you see on the internet. I kind of lean a bench backwards and put my arm on top and then bend forward and do it, so that I don't utilize, I don't lift too much and I'm not unstable. I want to be stable when I'm lifting, and a sort of a motion as though I'm taking the weight and putting it in my pocket. So let's go to upper 2, which is, the yang to upper 1's yin. There's a lot of similarity in upper 1 versus upper 2, but also some differences. So in upper 2, I start with an incline bench press using dumbbells. So again, going straight for the chest. I think an incline bench press with dumbbells is just elite. Not too much of an incline. I see people sometimes at 45 or even 60-degree angles. I have it less than that, about 30 degrees I think is ideal. And I think this is a fantastic exercise. We all love it. It works the upper chest, it works your biceps, and I think this is one chest exercise that no matter the situation, I see the value in doing. After that, I move to the incline chest fly. So I want to get all my chest work done, or at least as much of the focus of my chest done at the same time. So the incline chest fly gives me an opportunity straight away to move again to another chest exercise that's not as demanding straight after the incline dumbbells. Then I've got the bent over rows. Now remember, in upper one, there's a bent over row with the barbell. This is the bent over row with the dumbbell, which is slightly different. So again, it's almost the same mode of action, but you're using a dumbbell and you're just ensuring that the pull effect of it is done in the right way. This is key. The form has to be right. And I always do this in front of a mirror to make sure that my form is spot on. I then do the dumbbell row, same one from upper one. This is a fantastic exercise, so I don't have a problem repeating it. So I bring that back in. Then I do a pull up. Now you might say to me, hold on a second, you said you do it at the start normally. My upper two sessions tend to happen on a day where I did not run. And I'll explain that later. If you watched the previous video, I told you how I fit my running and my training into certain days. When I do upper one, that's normally after a running session where I've had a bit of fatigue. Next up is the cable crossovers. You're seeing a bit of a sort of similarity between the two. So I'm going to cable crossovers, which exists in upper one. I'm just repeating that again, moving to the chest dip. So quite a bit of repeat. You see that the exercises that I think work best for me, I repeat them because I think they drive that value. So I do it all over again. And then I actually finish the session with a seated cable row, which I think is slightly different. It works the lower back from the seated position, allows a full level of isolation, and it feels good. I might substitute in sometimes a lat pull down, and you would have seen in some videos me doing a lat pull down. It depends how I feel I could get that in there as well, but this is a summary of the upper exercises I do. So lower one, I don't have to tell you, it's of course the Bulgarian split squat. I start with this, everyone hates it, it's horrible, it's devastating, it's heartbreaking. I try to get it out of the way as the first thing. It's kind of like, once you've done your Bulgarian split squats, you can smile, you can actually enjoy your gym session. And then I move straight to lunges. Another one that I struggle with, I don't like them, but I know they're essential. So I go straight into the lunges because it just gives me a chance again to get something I don't like out of the way. After that, I've got the kettlebell goblet squat. This is quite straightforward. Now, very different to the illustration, I kind of hang it in between my legs. Pause. But what I try to ensure is that I go slowly down and really get that time under tension, rather than holding it up here where I feel sometimes you can give up because your arms are tired before you've actually reached the limit of the exercise. After that, there's the standing calf raise, which I do on a Smith machine. I train my calves a lot because I'm doing a running program, also because I think I have terrible calves and I want them to grow. We've got the seated calf raise. The seated calf raise is phenomenal. I think it's the #1 isolation exercise for the calves. It's a mixture of your body weight and the weight on the rack, and you kind of can isolate, do it really slowly, get your form right. I've seen some people do some insane things, but in reality, it allows me to get things just right when I'm doing my strength training. So we've got the seated leg curl. Now, a lot of people prefer the lying leg curl. I've got both in my gym. It depends on which one's available at the time. I agree the lying leg curl is better, but a lot of times I do the seated leg curl, mainly because the leg extension machine is right next to it and I just want to do one after the other. If you're a runner, this gives you that really good stretch that you need. And like I said, right next to it, you've got the leg extension machine, which I do, which helps my quads. This is the lower body equivalent of a bicep curl. It's almost like an ego exercise. It looks good, you can see your quads tensing under pressure, and I feel fantastic. And then we've got lower type 2. Now, for lower exercises, there's not a lot of variation. You'd have seen there's not a lot of variation in my upper exercises. But for lower 2 is when I go and do things like the leg press and leg press machine. I might do both legs, I might do single leg press. But one of the reasons why I always do the leg press machine is I don't do back squats. I'm nearly 42 years old. I've had a lot of back injuries. I just can't risk further injuries or further damage. I do a calf press using the same machine, again, working my calves, and that's fantastic. I've said it many times, my calves are a big focus area for me. And then I go and do a standing calf raise. So a lot of calf work going on in both types of sessions. Then we move to the seated calf raise, which I've already talked about. This is a fantastic isolation exercise for the calves. I love doing it. And then we get to the leg extension, which I've talked about, the seated leg extension. So I do that again. In this one, I wrote lying leg curl machine. So technically in one session, I do the seated leg curl. In this one, I do the lying leg curl. But let's be honest, it depends on what machine is available. very interchangeable. All you need to know is one way or another, I do one of the leg curls. Breathe. That is my training program for the 15 weeks. So a big recap, remember, I'm running 4 days a week. I've got 3 rest days from running, of which I strength train in 2 of those. I also strength train on 2 running days, which are not too intense. So let's start with week 3, the week that this video is about. So I started with on-offs. On-offs is 1 kilometer at conversational pace, then 1 kilometer at 5:10, 1 kilometer at 4:35 pace, repeat 5:10, 4:35, and then 500 meters of conversational pace. So it's quite intense for me. And I did this session, I looked at it and I kind of went, okay, do you know what? Intense, but not that bad. So I went to the gym afterwards. So I've had a running session and a gym session because it's not too bad. Tuesday is a rest day. So I went to the gym and I did a lower session, an intense lower session because it's a rest day, not done any running whatsoever. But then Wednesday is 800 meter repeats, which is 1.5K at conversational pace, 90 seconds of a walking rest, and then 800 meters at 4:20 with a 90-second walking rest repeated times 5. That is intense. And then I finished with 1.5 at conversational pace. So guess what? At the end of this, went home. I am not going to the gym after this. So I've had 2 gym sessions, 2 running sessions, and we're at Wednesday, if that kind of makes sense. Then you get to Thursday, which is a 6K easy run. It is literally what it says on the tin. 6K, conversational pace, just go, just get it out of the way. So I did 6K at conversational pace, and then guess what? Went to the gym because it's an easy session. Friday is now a rest day. And then I go to the gym again because it's a rest day. I can go, I can train, I can get stuff out of the way. I think it was a lower day as well on Friday. And now I've had my 4th gym session of the week. Saturday is my long run day. I went and did an 11 kilometer long run. Sunday, rest day. I hung around with friends. That's kind of how I fit it all in. To give you another example, we look at next week, which is week 4. And you can see I've got a 6.5K easy run on the Monday, pyramid intervals on the Wednesday, 6.5K easy run on the Friday. And remember the surprise I told you I was going to tell you about? I am not doing, as you can see on the screen, the 13 kilometer Saturday long run. Instead, I'm skipping that day. And on Sunday, I'm going to do the Burj to Burj half marathon in Dubai. And that's going to be the topic of next week's video. This feels like a good place to stop. I've just landed that bombshell on you. Let's look forward to next week's episode. Let's see if I actually complete the half marathon, what my time is, what that does in my preparation for the full marathon. Take care.